know how easy it is to meet celebrities in Nigeria today?
Well,
I mean, just walk into Domino's at VDC, you see Edafi. And just today, I saw Lewis Hamilton.
interesting.
Anyways, welcome to the sponsor of the TV. We have a very special guest in today who's going to be talking to us on Formula One and the racetrack, the only racetrack we have in Nigeria. His name is Robson. Robson, how you doing?
I'm very good. Nice to meet you guys here.
So, what type of races do we have in Nigeria?
We have. It depends on what you are referring to, because there is drag races. You know, some people organize drag races in Abuja. They close a portion of the road, organize drag races. BMW Club of Nigeria, which I'm a member of, we also organize drag races in Lagos. We'll have circuit-based racing at the only racetrack in West Africa at Motorsport Raceway in Edo State.
That's the only racetrack we have.
Yeah, in the whole country at the moment.
I've always wondered why Formula One is so unpopular in Nigeria, because it's a sport that is actually really growing really rapid in the whole wide world.
Yeah, actually, I would say it's unpopular, or it became rather unpopular because it's highly technical. Like, there was a time they were using up to 7 different tire choices, and you know, recently competition, there's hardly any close racing. You know, it was recently that the 2 top teams started getting up to par and speed with each other. So when you have that, something that is excessively technical, difficult to understand unless you are into it, it's easy for everybody to understand football. Everybody wearing blue versus everybody wearing blue. But you have drivers racing, and this one is using the soft tire, the other one is using semi-soft, and then there's all sort of codes and numbers and all that. It's quite technical. But once you get to understand it, you can't leave it. It's something that's very addictive. Something you love to follow.
No, thank you very much, Robson. We'll be coming back to you so much today. Talking about people on blue, Edafe, if anybody should tell you that money does not buy you happiness, just look them in the eye and tell them, do you have money? If anybody should tell you, because Manchester City just won their 250th game in this whole decade. That is the second team to do that. Manchester United did that in 2000s, and City did it in 2050. So, how important is money to football today?
That's not how I put it. You know, this company, we all run this company together, so it's not like saying it's my company now, it's our company. And the key or the payoff line of this company is, if it's not making money, it's not making sense. When we're having our meetings or all that, we chorus this thing all the time. If it's not making money, it's not making sense. And money, for me, I categorize it into so many things. Money is goodwill. Money is the numbers we have on social media. Money is a whole lot of things. But let's take away that. Money is what pays our bills. Money is what gives us the clothes that we wear, the equipment and everything. Now let's bring it to football. Money is the reason why Bury was buried. Even though, you know, I tried to. Money is the reason why Bolton Wanderers are not in the top league anymore. Money is the reason why Leeds United got down. The reason why Derby County went down. The reason why most of the relegated clubs get relegated. Money is the reason why Manchester City, who used to be a yo-yo team, who used to be an also run, is not the most dreaded team. They are in third position, but people fear them as the only team that can overtake Liverpool. More than Leicester, that is in second position. Money, it's the money power. Money is the reason why we have a conversation and we talk about Paris Saint-Germain, who plays in the French league that nobody watch. Money is the reason for that. Money is the reason why everybody is running to go play for Paris Saint-Germain. You have Neymar there, you have Mbappe there, you have Icardi there, you have an angel called Di Maria, a female angel called Di Maria plays there. We have Cavani there, we have all of the other people, even Buffon.
Yeah.
When there's some time, it's money. And then you go to Barcelona and the rest of them. Every successful club have been built on money. We're not talking about Blackburn Rovers or Leicester City, who did a one-off surprise everybody. Even the one-off surprise everybody, there was still a little bit of money spent.
Did you say Manchester United that 99 squad that they built up?
They use money to put the club together. They use money to put that squad together. But we always talk about the fact that the class of 92 came out of nowhere. No, they didn't come out of nowhere. Somebody spent money to build the facility that was grooming the best young players of that era. All the best young areas from the south, the west, and the east of England agreed to go to Manchester United because at that time, capital-wise, Manchester United was spending more money than any other club. Manchester United had better facilities than any other club. Arsenal was so envious of them that they decided to use the money from the sales of Anelka to build the same thing, but it didn't produce as much young players as Manchester United produced. So money, this is how I put it, money answereth everything. If money is the root of all evil, I like to be in the evil that comes with money than being in the evil that comes with poverty.
That's brilliant. So thank you very much, Edafe. Precious, on the talk of money, Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
Followed season, they signed up Alisson, and they're reaping the full rewards of it. They just won the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
So basically, people have still not started putting Liverpool in the discussion levels that we put Barcelona that won the treble over Manchester United. Is the team as good as those teams?
It's not there yet.
They aren't there yet. However, it's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. The great teams you have mentioned didn't just get there overnight. There was a process, the consistency. So they won the Champions League last season. I expect, except there is something extraordinary that would happen at the end of this season, I expect that they will win the Premier League. And then let's see where
You
they
can't
kick
say
on
you
from
expect
there.
again.
They will win the
That's
Premier
it.
League now,
That's
most
it.
likely.
That's
They will
it.
win the
That's
Premier
it.
League. They will win it.
Okay. So how much of this success do we have to attribute to Klopp? Because he said it when he came to the club.
Yeah.
At the time when they were still struggling in his first 2 seasons, he said in the next 3,
5
4, and look at it now, it's happening. So how much of a big
Is
manager
it down to
Klopp right
Klopp?
now?
Okay,
Yeah.
now let's look at it this way. Jurgen Klopp is a guy whose stock is rising. From Mainz 05, his win percentage was about 40.4. He went to Dortmund with a win percentage of 56.3, and then at Liverpool currently, he has a win percentage of 59.7. Okay, now let's bring that down to Liverpool. From 1892 till this very moment, 21 different managers have managed Liverpool.
Why do you know all these things? Okay, Arsenal have 20 managers. Let me pretend like I know you. Arsenal have had 20 managers.
Yeah, now,
1897.
out of those 21 different managers, 13 of them have won trophies. And Jurgen Klopp, currently with a win percentage of close to 60%, is nearing the all-time win percentage of any Liverpool manager, which stands at 60.63. Yeah, Kenny Dalglish is at second. Can't remember the name of the guy now, but then Kenny Dalglish is at
Klopp is
second.
at 60.
Yeah.
Klopp is 59.7. Yes, so he's very close.
Like how many wins do you think you will need to get that?
If you run the season to the end,
Yeah, he will
maybe
surpass
losing only
that.
2 or 3
Yes.
games, it will smash that.
Yes, he will.
But let me come in there. Liverpool, like you said, is a process. When you go back to the clubs you mentioned, let's put Manchester United in that mix. Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Let's put Juventus in that mix, and let's put the old AC Milan in that mix. One of the key things that get them into that conversation consistently was the fact that domestically they were winning everything, and so sparingly one Champions League in between every 2-3 years made that route established firmly. The Liverpool won the Champions League in 2005. Rafael Benitez. They won it again this season. So you look at Liverpool and you will see they are doing what they used to do. Liverpool on previous 4 occasions have had the league title in their hands and messed it up.
Yeah.
So there is still that they will freeze. There is still that idea of they will freeze. But then I wrote an article on Opera just a couple of days ago, and I compare. It's atrocious, but I compared Jurgen Klopp with Albert Einstein. Both of them are Germans.
Yeah.
And the numbers sort of tallies. Albert Einstein is the person for which I build my analysis from. He's the king of relativity theory. And my analysis is always on relativity. And you look at this man, this is a guy who jokes, who walks into the Dortmund dressing room and told the players that I cannot claim to know or feel the way you feel because I'm not half as good as you are as a player. He played in the 2nd division for Mainz before he became a coach. But one thing is, he was willing to help them. And everywhere he's gone, he's made the teams better than they were. And he's not one of them who threw the big check, like, okay, throw money to every problem. No, it's not a Nigerian father who throw money to every problem. He's actually a hard-working, deep-rooted German who believes that if you put in the shift, if you work very hard, you will get the result. What is Jurgen Klopp doing different that any other coach is not doing? Jurgen Klopp have gone back to the old school, which says that the old school is actually the real school. So he's gone back to the old school where your wing back are the most powerful people. It's built a team that doesn't have so much creativity in the midfield. People say you cannot win football matches without creativity in the midfield, but it's put still in the midfield. Very hard-working grafters in the midfield, and then depends on the counter-attacking powers of Robertson. Before Jurgen Klopp, please. Robertson is a player that will be playing for Derby County, Leeds United, Aston Villa, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Hull City. But look at this guy. This guy commands a regular shirt in a Liverpool team that is all conquering, that's conquering the world. And I do hope that because of my prediction that I made when I was still in Brilla FM, they should win the league title, even though I love Pep Guardiola and all of that. So if they keep winning the domestic title and dominating for maybe a couple of seasons, like Sir Alex Ferguson did when he won the league title three times. He won the treble. Pep Guardiola won the treble. Jose Mourinho, with his swagger and dress, won league titles everywhere. Liverpool will join the conversation. But right now, they are still looking. Everybody's still looking at Liverpool like they are just about surprising people. It's still a surprise. It's a one-off thing. Oh, they are going to do it. Maybe they win the league this season. They cannot go again until they keep a sustained running, winning the domestic title. Charity, they say, begins at home. Then they'll get in that conversation.
Oh, thank you very much, Edafe and Precious. Robson, let's go back to you now. We have someone who loves Formula One, but he's not a driver. So what we want to hear now is how it feels to actually be in the car driving. Okay. What it feels to win. I'm sure you win a lot now.
Yeah,
they used to call you Ikeja Lewis Hamilton, right?
Okay, so 2019 champion.
2019 champion. That's perfect. So what was the feeling? Driving, winning, what was the feeling?
Well, in a way, I wouldn't say they are two different things. But if you're a competitive driver, first of all, when you are in the car and you are commanding all of that mechanism together, you are one with the car and you are competing against the next person, he's in front of you, you're attacking him, he's behind you, you are defending against him.
So you defend?
Yeah, you have to defend. It's highly tactical. It's different from a lot of times people walk up to me, you do this, I want to drive. Okay, do you have any racing experience? I used to speed on the highway, I used to overtake trailers and all that. It seems very easy till you come.
But isn't that where it starts from?
That's not technically where it starts from. Actually, I want to even take up a challenge. I want to take somebody that is just fresh out of manual driving school and put them in a race car and train them and see what they can do.
Come on, train me.
I'll be an expert.
Are you saying driving in Formula One requires? No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to doubt the talent that Formula One drivers are. So I can drive. So can't I just say, let me go and try my luck in Formula
One? You would never be able to drive a Formula One car. I'll put that to you straight right now.
I can do anything.
First off, do you know how much of your weight you have to burn? You know how much weight you have to burn? None of this your weight would enter a Formula One car first. That's one. Secondly, I love you too much. I don't want you to kill yourself. Who will present this show?
Okay, so I'm the current champion of the Rodex car.
Woo! Champion! We're sitting with
I cannot
champion.
drive a Formula One car, first of all. And I don't know if I really have what it takes to drive it competitively. There's like tourism companies that put you in a Formula car, which are open wheel race cars. Any car that doesn't have covers on the tires, have all those open wheel suspension. That's an open wheel race car. The feeling is entirely different. So first of all, let's take away the view that racing is only in a open wheel car. Racing is anything. They race anything anywhere in the world. Since the first race started when there were two men in the world. For some reason, both of them were racing who to take something first. Either, it's physically or otherwise. Yeah. Now, you can race an open wheel car, which is a Formula One car, but you need a background of karting from there. You need to be very good with go-karts and all that. So, technically, if you're really going to make a career out of that, you need to start from when you're a kid. When you're young, you win a lot of karting championships and all that. That's how you build your license all the way up to race a Formula One car. The physical requirements of driving a Formula car is nowhere near the physical requirements of driving. Just because you can drive trailers or drive 10 hours from here to Abuja doesn't mean you can drive a Formula One car, because the G-forces that those guys experience, there's a lot of physical restriction. You are staying in that position for like 2 hours. You're experiencing almost 5 Gs on your neck. So there's a lot.
Is it like cabin pressure?
It's not pressure, it's G-force.
No, that G-force, does it, like when you fly long distance, let's say you take a Delta airline from Lagos to Atlanta, that's about 16 hours or so. Or you take any airline from Lagos to Sao Paulo, you know that at some point you get really frustrated inside. Playing is, I enjoy playing because it makes me read, but at some point I get frustrated. Is that the kind of feeling you feel? Or maybe you're on the boat.
10,000 times worse.
10 times.
Yeah, it's 10,000 times more intense. Maybe, you know, when you get out of playing, have jet lag and all that, but these guys, they stay in that position for over 2 hours, and you're driving, and all the mental calculation that you're doing. Formula 1 these days is now highly technical. People that are trying to say, you know, there's less of driver input, right? But it's a lot of mental work that they're doing. All that buttons, all the switches, all the strategy. At that same time, somebody else is using 0.1 seconds. You know how fast 0.1 seconds is? That's what the person wants to take out of you. If you break 0.1 seconds later, it might compromise your position on the racetrack. You're making adjustments to the brake bias, you know, the differential settings, you know, should this side brake better than this side? You're looking at your tire wear rate. Your team is telling you, you know, you need to pick up the pace or you need to manage your tire. At the same time, you have the rivalry burning in you that this guy, Vettel, cannot win me today.
Today we die here.
Today we die here. And you can actually die there. You cannot control your emotion. If you cannot control your drive, you may actually die there. Because in my first race of 2018, I actually had a crash. And it was after that crash, I was going to quit. That was when I really, you know, started watching Formula 1 not from the spectator point of view, but from the driver point of view. You know, what is Lewis Hamilton doing? Why? Let's pace. Why did he not take that chance now? You know, you learn that there's strategy to everything, and strategy is everything in life. I believe in football. I don't know very much about football.
No, there are two.
What is crazy about strategy?
Yeah.
Racing is the same. It's not just.
No, there are two words that I always use in life. The two most important English words is being deliberate and being strategic. I don't know any other thing, but those two words.
So you have to meter yourself. You have to know when you're being too ambitious. When you are not being reasonable, and that's what happened to me in the first race. Right. So I was going to quit, but the night before the second race in 2018, second championship race, so I managed to finish that first race last, because if you don't finish the race, you get 0 points. But if you try and finish and you know you're in the top 10, you get at least some points, and that may be what helps you in the end. Yeah. You know, to win the championship. Every point matters. So in second race, the night before that race, I came across a quote that said, I think it was a Thomas Roosevelt's quote, you know, you don't just stay in the cold, amongst the cold people that know neither sorrow nor defeat. People that just stay on the sidelines and criticize everything. You don't know victory, you don't know defeat. You're just there because you never tried. You have to try. So next morning, I just got in the car and drove the cars from Lagos to Benin alone. I loaded the car myself. Normally, I used to have a team, you know, work together, we do all mechanical work together. But because I told them we're no longer doing, and the car is just there sitting outside my window, and I'm like, okay, so will I just stay here and allow this car rust and gather dust? So I decided to, you know, put everything in the car, went on the road. It was very stressful. Got to the track, changed to racing brake pads, changed your racing tires, and do all of the mechanical work myself. My other teammates were like, what is wrong with you? You know. Funny enough, it was later somebody was telling me that was very good content. You know, I should have just put a camera on my head, an action camera, and film myself doing all that. You know, it shows passion. And I was able to finish that race third. You know, and that was beating somebody that came first in the showcase race in 2017. And then by the end of the season in 2018, our team was second in the championship standing, which was very encouraging. So this year, you know, we came all guns blazing. You know, we blitzkrieg our way through everywhere, and we're a team to watch out for. So technically, we're Fastlane Racing. That's the name of our team. We're the most successful team in Nigeria because we have one championship in our pocket. We have second place holder in the championship from last year. We've won some other road races that were held in Ondo State 2018. We have, you know, a lot of awards as well. So, you know, that grit is there, and it's not. Even in the 30 minutes driving that we do on a regular car that is relatively comfortable, because, you know, you have your tight racing seats, you know, your wheel, the car is stripped, so it's very loud, and, you know, it gets very hot because it's bare metal. You take away all the comfort, all the padding and foam, because you want to save weight. Protection, you don't take away any protection. You don't. The first thing you do, the race car, which is all we try to preach here, safety. You don't play with safety. So we have a minimum of 6-point roll cage in the car. Fire extinguisher near the driver, battery kill switch, you know, no steering locks, you know, stuff like that. Modified, it's a street car, which is a 1984 to the 1990 BMW 3 Series, which is the same car that's used for racing in that particular type of sort of league. We call it a league, but it's a spec or a classification all over the world. Over 15 countries race with those same cars, and we race with the same standards, safety standards, battery kill switch, all of that. So it's that 30 minutes alone that we spend in the car racing, it's still highly mentally tasking. At those times, while racing, as long as you have competition, I don't remember having time to think about any other thing external, outside the track, like, okay, this is how I'm going to celebrate, or do I have a girlfriend?
You just have to be focused on
I'm not forgetting my girlfriend. Or do I have, you just focus, because if you lose anything, the guy behind you takes the position from you, And for some reason, this year, we now had like more international people competing. And those guys, they don't play. They don't play. They came to win. They want to go back to their country and say, we went to race abroad and we came back.
No, but if you come that far, the only thing that you expect people to see when you get to the airport is to win it. So for winning it, thank you for representing Nigeria very well.
Thank you very much.
The Robo tribe. The Robo man. Yeah.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the personal experience you've given us. But we'll be going on a break now. When we come back, you'll be telling us more about the only track we have in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And also, there's a Christmas miracle as Thomas Muller ends up on one of the lists of the decade. We'll be telling you how he got on there. We'll see you very soon.
Hi, my name is Maureen. I'm from Uganda and I watch Elevated TV.
Hi, my name is Oscar and I am from San Antonio, USA, and I like to watch Elevated TV.
My name is Yesenia. I'm from San Antonio, US. I watch Elevated TV.
So welcome back, guys. I heard this thing from Edafe. Say when you're having fun, time really, really flies. So we have just limited time to deliberate on the few remaining topics we have. I'm pretty sure I'll start with you. We have another world-class manager in the EPL in Carlo Ancelotti for Everton. He was watching the Everton Arsenal game and he was he was shaking his head vigorously at what he was watching. But the question that comes out from this, what am I watching? So basically, the question coming out from there is these managers, as they get old, they tend to go to, look at Mourinho as Spurs. They tend to go to teams that have a smaller challenge. Like Everton now. So I want to know what's the reason behind it. Is it actually a thing, or is it that these players have lost their reputation like he did in Napoli, and they just go to the next?
I don't
best
think.
option?
Well, let me quickly correct this. I don't think Carlo lost his reputation at Napoli.
I don't think
okay. If you have coached Chelsea, if you have coached Real Madrid,
you won the double in
and all these places you won trophies: PSG, Real Madrid, Chelsea, and AC Milan. He was also one-time coach of Juve.
Yeah.
So it means he has seen it all.
The only place where he didn't win anything.
Yeah, he has seen it all basically. So coming down to from Bayern Munich, where he had a win percentage of 70%, to Napoli, where his win percentage dropped drastically to 52.05. Not
Is there any
due
previous
to,
Napoli coach, apart from the one of Maradona, that have more than that numbers?
Yeah, maybe Sarri.
Sorry.
Sarri did
That is
very
one
well.
incident.
Yeah. So the issue at Napoli was not entirely down to Carlo Ancelotti. They were basically off-field issues, administrative issues. So coming down to Everton, I think is a low-pressure job. Carlo is not really a young man, so to say. Not an entirely old man in coaching terms, because he's about 60 or thereabout. So he's not so old. But
that's nothing.
But then at Everton, he has a good salary. He has a decent transfer budget to work with at Everton. So I wouldn't say it's so much of a step down for him, because the expectation at Everton might be get us into Europe. Carlo Ancelotti can deliver that. He has shown over time that he's a guy who can do one. Tactically, he's not an inept manager. Yeah, but then he is not the kind of manager who likes to work in a disorganized environment. Carlo Ancelotti works well when the settings, when under normal standard temperature and pressure. Carlo Ancelotti will deliver at Everton. It's not a step down for me. I think it's just about that time in his career where he just needs to take
pension time.
What do you think? You said you would deliver. What do you think delivery means in this context, especially in this season?
Well, in England, currently, there are two standout teams, Liverpool and Manchester City. Yeah, maybe with Jose Mourinho at Tottenham Hotspur, they might start knocking to break into that bracket now. Who knows? Okay, but then the top 4 is still a very, very open one. It's still a very, very open one. Everton have shown that they can splash the cash. So if they do decent business, in the maybe not January. Let's look beyond this season. Yeah, in the summer, if they do decent business, they may not necessarily break into the top 4, but then they could ruffle the feathers of the supposed big wigs in England.
Thank you very much, Precious. Talking about surprises, there was a list that came out for this decade for the player with the most goals and the player with the most assists. Of course, Lionel Messi. Messi top goals. Just shows. Oh, no, that's by the way. The surprise on that list was Thomas Muller. He was second on the list for assists. And after what happened to Thomas Muller? In 2010, he was that young guy. Even though we knew he did not have really any technical abilities, he was just a guy that was there.
How many core German players have
technical ability? No, we could say Ozil has technical abilities.
He's a Turkish guy.
Oh, you mean
German,
yeah.
So, but basically, that's the question. What happened to Thomas Muller?
I think that the arrival of Pep Guardiola to Bayern changed a whole lot for the German players. Let's not forget that the exit of Pep Guardiola also led to the end of certain careers. Frank Ribery, Ian Robben, Mola, and a few other players in that team, even Manuel Neuer. The thing is, people who know football will tell you that Pep Guardiola is reinventing football. And a lot of people will argue. When it was talking about, the accident that happened, it talked about looking at Formula One from a driver's perspective other than from a fan's perspective. I'm on social media and I face that every day. People talk football from a fan's perspective. When you try to correct them from either a coaching or a player perspective, the conversation goes into insult. You see, what it requires to play for Pep Guardiola, you would enjoy the result, but you would have given your all. The last trophy Jose Mourinho won for Chelsea, at the middle of the season, I said something to someone that, I said it on radio, I said, John Terry cannot play football again after the season. If you were listening to Brilla, you heard that. And at the end of the season, he had gone. Because I play football and I see the grounds that these players are covering for Pep Guardiola. It definitely would tell on the human body. So I think that the Pep Guardiola system exhausted him to a point where he couldn't recover again. And then you get so high, you want to sustain it, but it's a case of the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So I think that's what happened with him. He played 10 years under a 3 years period for Pep Guardiola. So the body is now shutting down, like you're having multiple sclerosis, the body is shutting down. He can't respond. Yes, he's thinking it, but the leg is not giving him feedback.
Before we leave there, that makes it, if you add Thomas Muller to James Rodriguez, that made it 2 players who dominated 2 World Cups, and you can't see them now.
For James Rodriguez's problem is the same problem that Memphis Depay had. See too much money. One thing about poverty is a multifaceted cause. You see too much money and you lose the focus. Because what was driving him to be a successful footballer was probably to earn this level. And then the money that came was this level. So there was no ambition in it.
Oh, thank you very much, Edafe. Robson will be ending with you. As Edafe is talking about sustainability, which Muller could not sustain under Pep Guardiola. How sustainable is it for Nigeria to actually host the first ever Formula One race in the country? How sustainable will it be? Is it even possible? Exactly, that's the word. How feasible is it?
Well, I think
also that with you give us a little detail about the only racetrack we're having.
All right. Okay. First of all, to answer your first question, the feasibility of Nigeria hosting a Formula One world race, I think at the moment, I don't see that happening by any metric because, first of all, I don't think we even have the airport to handle the logistics that Formula One will require, first of all, right? Moving from the airport, we don't have the track. If we say, let us, build a street track out of one of the roads, I can't really think of anywhere that has a very good network of roads like that we can easily convert to a standard track.
I have a place I would suggest.
Abuja?
No,
Where?
Abuja doesn't have it.
Where?
Sambisa, when we finally take over Sambisa, let's just build airport near it and use that for the purpose of football.
Lovely one, honestly. So, security challenges, politicizing, all of that comes into play. We might be a long way from it, but if at all we collectively want motorsport to grow in Nigeria, I don't think it's something, it's not really a major concern for the government right now, because you can't really tell them how does that, reduce the rate of unemployment, poverty, and all of that. Yeah. Of course, it does. In the long run, people will see where to practice their engineering and all of that. What I would suggest is, since it's very far-reaching for us, we can start developing our own form of motorsports. We don't have to wait for that world standard. Let the world come to us when we develop the ones we can do. So if we're going to start open-wheel racing, fine. How many people can build open-wheel race cars? How many people can build go-karts? Start from go-kart championships, start from things like that. My team is working on putting together a go-kart championship, for example. So that's how you develop the engineering, the talent to get to that level playing field. Of course, you're still going to probably bleed talent. People, when they are good, will go abroad, But the zeal will be there. There will be an outlook. People can look at it that, okay, if I start at this level, I can get to this level where I'm contesting nationally, we're holding a major race that, is being shown on TV, and they're not trivializing it as much as they do now. About the racing we do in Edo State, that's the name of the racetrack is Motorsport Raceway. It's a 2.3 kilometer purpose-built closed circuit. So that means, an individual or a group of people use their own private funds, all privately funded, no government funding at all, put their funds together and went to the bush, cleared it, put 2.3 kilometers of tarmac. If you have done foundation, or if you have, tried to build a shop or something, you will have an idea of what it takes to lay 2.3 kilometers of tarmac just for the purpose of driving around. My mom used to say, "What's they go do for that place? How do you spend so much money? And all of you spend so much time to go to the bush and drive around."
Money meeting.
You see, but honestly, since I started, I don't think there's any other fun thing. There's any other thing more fun than going there to race. So I started as a hobby, first of all, because I love driving. I started driving at 15. I even drove my mom's Danfo bus at the time. So, and it started, and all of a sudden it became very expensive very quickly, because first of all, I already had that BMW 3 Series. That was my car, my street car, the 1987 BMW 3 Series. And luckily I had the engine, the spec engine that we use, because there are rules, similar engines, everybody. So all I had to do was construct a roll cage, do all the safety modifications and go to track and race. So I did that, showcase race 2017, and then 2018 the full season started, a season of 6-point scoring races. And then I went to the first race, and all that excitement, I think it's the highway, Benin or Expressway, where you're overtaking everybody, and it's very interesting. And then, I'm like, I have a very fast car, because my car was very good, the street car, well maintained, so it's naturally fast on the straight lines and everything. My grandma can drive fast on a straight line, she just puts her leg on the gas. And, it became expensive very fast. So I realized, if I can't afford it, I have to look for sponsors. So I started packaging my racing as a team-based racing, Fastlane Motorsports, sponsors, where, got some seed funding here and there, not much, not enough to cover anything, but, it's encouraging, seeing that people can at least see the vision and connect with it. People can, okay, I can give you some money, just put my brand on your car, not just put my brand on your car, but find a way to use the team, use the thing that we do to promote what you do as well. So it's not just, brand exchange and all that. So, it's encouraging. And we'll go to the track, you modify your car to the stage where you can't really drive it to the racetrack again. You don't have to put it on a flatbed truck and all that. I can't easily afford all of that. So I look for trucking companies that are, going to be smart enough to want to sponsor a race team. So we're lucky we got one of them, Safe Haul Recovery. They take our cars to the track, bring them back, So we had the championship in 2018. My team came second, runner-up, even after finishing last in the first race. 2019.
You seem to really take that as one of the very, very strong achievements.
Yeah. Honestly, what I felt that period is not just for racing, but in many facets of my life. Yeah. It made me realize that, no matter how far back you are behind, just start now. Like that moment where you realize that, wow, you're behind. Start at that moment and begin to do something, and you can turn a lot of things around in no time.
Thank you.
And in 2019, we are the champion, and everybody wants to beat us.
Thank you very much, Robson. You've taken a lot of advice from me already. So whether Nigeria will be able to host the racetrack next year, I can't tell. And like as Robson said, we can't tell in the nearest future. But one thing I'm sure we'll be here next week again to give you the best on sports. From me and the rest of the crew, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you!